I will often get questions about why my garden is so weedy. And truth of the matter is I have very few weeds out here in the garden. Actually, the green-looking stuff here all around us is Dutch white clover mixed with cereal rye, and it's my wintertime cover crop between my vegetables. Over here you see we've got a nice red-colored plant. That's actually a mustard, and it's food. It's growing up out of the rye over there quite nicely. Right here in front of me we have this absolutely gorgeous looking vegetable. This is Romanesco. It's a form of Italian broccoli or sort of cauliflower. This is a really nice, nearly perennial form of the plant. As the plants age and produce the first head, they'll come back after cut and then also produce suckers off the roots that I'm able to pull up, transplant, make more Romanesco. This Romanesco here is suckers from a plant that's probably over 2.5 years old at the moment. But as you see, it's growing here in a carpet of wintertime rye. There's a row of half-harvested cabbages in Dutch white clover. At the end of the row, I also have alfalfa growing. This has been here for a few years, along with some old Romanesco here, and you can see if you look down low right there, all the little suckers that are popping up off the bottom of the stalk that I'm able to make more plants from. Here under the pears, I have alfalfa and I have more winter rye. Here's an example of fava beans with winter rye and apples. More apple trees over here, again with rye, with fava beans, and with alfalfa. So we gotta look hard, but right here behind my row of peas, I've got cauliflower that's coming up through a crop of Dutch white clover. Again, broccoli over here, plants through Dutch white clover and winter rye. More broccoli and garlic there. Here I'm using artichokes and Dutch white clover in combination. They work quite well. The artichokes, again, another great perennial in the garden out here on the west coast. And the clover is also a perennial. It is also a legume, and it fixes a lot of nitrogen, keeps the ground covered here so it doesn't bake during the summer heat, and it doesn't leach during the winter rains. Before I come in and start planting my peppers and tomatoes this spring, I'll be cutting the clover back. We'll trim it back within 1/2 inch of the ground, put all the new plants in, and then just let it spring back up. See, this whole nasty looking bunch of stuff over here is apple trees with alfalfa, fava beans, and we get some black cap raspberries growing there in the tomato cages with winter rye, fava beans, and alfalfa below. The alfalfa is a particularly nice plant here. It's long-lived perennial. Bees love it, so it draws pollinators. The taproots are really, really deep, and so this plant will draw nutrients up from the subsoils that have been lost from the top years ago, bring them back into the leaves, and then when we cut the plant down and lay it in the garden for mulch, they re-release. Bring it back to our vegetables. Here's winter rye underneath raspberries. I'll just let the rye come up, grow underneath there, and then it'll perish due to dry weather and summer heat. We'll just let it fall down underneath the berries as a mulch, so I'll get my own straw mulch, keep weeds back, and it'll probably drop some more rye seed that'll repeat the cycle again next winter. Slightly different take over here. I'm using St. John's wort and daffodils. Has some perennial ground covers, but you'll see there's apple wood just laying everywhere, and my apple orchard has been described by some as looking like a forest floor, which is pretty true. I tend to pretty much drop almost everything that comes off the trees except for infected fruit right there where it fell on the ground, and I'll come back later after the leaves fall off for mulch, and I'll pick up bigger pieces of the wood go in my barbecue grill for making some delicious barbecues. Otherwise, nice straight long sticks often get reassigned as plant stakes or something, but in general I allow the twigs to just lay here on top of the soil, and well, that keeps my feet from getting all muddy in the wintertime while I'm working out here. I can't quite see why I should go out and buy a fir bark or redwood bark mulch to throw down, or ground construction scrap like the dyed wood mulch, when I can just toss my branches around, pretty much accomplish the same thing. So the next time you wonder why I got so many weeds in my yard, just check out the video and we'll explain that I don't have weeds. All we have around here is stuff that we planted, pretty much, or stuff that came back on its own that we wanted to have around. And so there's a purpose for all this junk, and I encourage all you gardeners out there, don't leave your garden soil bare, exposed to the weather, and lacking in vegetation. The key to excellent soil is life, and so keep the soil alive. Use cover crops, either annual or perennial. Enjoy great gardening.